Hi, and welcome to HR Tuesday Tips with the Millers. I'm Janine Miller.
And I'm Lori Miller, your training development SME. Today we're going to be focusing on some do's and don'ts when it comes to the interview process. So I'm going to turn it right over to Janine to give you some best practices.
Okay, so I'm going to begin with do's. Do prepare questions using behavioral based questions such as, tell me about a time when, or what would you do if? Because again, you want them to finish that so you could see what their thought process and how they would actually handle a particular situation. Again, keeping those questions to the job at hand. Do go into the interview with a clear vision of the type of person you're seeking, and then ask yourself, what do I expect from this new hire? What type of personality works best with how I manage? What type of personality works best with the job at hand? What type of person fits the culture I'm trying to create? And then you really, again, have to become aware of those laws affecting the hiring process. And there are several. So avoid legal pitfalls.
Yeah, and I'm sorry to interrupt, but let me talk a little bit about the laws that impact. You have to make sure that your managers, your HR people are, of course, trained on things that they can and cannot ask. And basically, all managers conducting interviews must be trained on the discrimination laws. We talked about that briefly. But this is what they need to be able to do. One, recognize laws that affect the questions they can ask in the interview process and how to phrase those accordingly. Also, avoid questions that could put the company at risk and for exposures. And number three, ask questions that are actually going to obtain the info they need to make the right decision. Let me give you a brief example. You can't ask a candidate how old they are or when they graduated. That actually would be against the actual law, ADEA, which is the Age Discrimination and Employment Act. And that actually prohibits discrimination against workers over the age of 40. Now, I may need to have that question answered because they have to be 18 years old, for example, to work at a bar. So, but what you can ask is, are you old enough to do this type of work, or can you supply transcripts of your education? So I can't say enough of training them appropriately so they know what they can ask to get the right information and not put your company or them in any type of exposure. So go back and wherever you were at. So,
okay, we're still on the do's. So do probe with follow-up questions. Don't hesitate, because sometimes they'll answer a question and you stop and think, I still don't have what I need. Think of another follow-up question so you get your response. Do ask about their motivation for the job. Do ask about their job responsibilities. And then discuss your desires and culture, and then simply ask them, how would they see themselves fitting in? That would give you a lot about the person to see where they go with that type of information. Now the don'ts. Don't ask questions that are unlawful, such as those related to sexual orientation, marital status, child care obligations, and the possibility of pregnancy. Now, those are just a few, but I just want to tip you off on some things you need to think about. Avoid referring to older candidates as overqualified, because overqualified does not mean they're not qualified. Don't ask about disabilities. Don't ask about labor activities. Don't ask about citizenship, military discharge status, or membership in non-professional organizations. So those are just a few of the things we want you to keep fresh in your mind as you go through this hiring process. But next time, we'll continue on with what you need to think about when you're hiring. But for now, I think we're all set.
I think we're good. So thanks for staying tuned with us for another segment of how to hire and select the right candidate. We want you to sit back, relax. We got this.